Westeros, a land remembered for dragons, for kings and queens, for wars that burn history into ash. But strip away the banners, the crowns, the legends, and you will find something far less romantic. This is not a land of fairy tales. This is not a world built for heroes. This is a place where power becomes law, where swords speak louder than truth, and where the mistakes of princes are paid for by the innocent. In Westeros, justice is not blind. It looks up. And yet, every so often, history turns. Not because of a king, not because of a dragon, not because of destiny, but because someone ordinary refuses to look away. And this story does not begin with a throne. It begins with a girl. Her name, Tanselle.
Tanselle is not a knight. She never carries a blade. She wears no armor. She holds no noble blood. She is a puppeteer, a traveling performer, born not into castles, but into wagons and roadside camps. Her world is wood and string, painted faces, simple stories. She travels from town to town with her father, carrying a small wooden stage, a handful of carved puppets, and the rarest gift in Westeros, the ability to make children laugh in a world that rarely smiles. They perform in village squares, outside taverns, at small tourneys where the poor gather to forget how heavy life feels. Tanselle learns early that stories matter, because stories are safe. Stories don't starve you. Stories don't ask who your father is. Her life is simple, honest, far away from politics, crowns, and war. And in Westeros, that kind of life never survives for long. Ashford meadow, a place where the small are swallowed by the great. A tourney unlike any other. Colourful banners ripple in the wind, trumpets cry out across the field, steel armour glints beneath the sun. The crowd roars as knights parade past, each one chasing something different. Glory, honour, gold. Or simply a song to make their name last longer than their life. And among these knights walks a young man who has none of those things, Duncan the Tall. Not a knight by law, only a knight by belief. An orphan, a former squire, a man wearing armour that doesn't quite fit, carrying a dream far heavier than his shield. No banners follow him, no family name protects him, only a promise he made to a dying mentor, to live as a knight should, even if the world says he has no right to be one. Dunk meets Tanselle not through destiny, but by chance. She doesn't flirt loudly. She doesn't pretend to be impressed. She speaks simply, honestly, as if knights are just men inside expensive metal. And Dunk notices something rare in her gaze, a lack of fear. In Westeros, people without fear are either very powerful or very brave. Tanselle doesn't look at Dunk like he's a hero. She looks at him like he's human. And for a man who's been invisible his entire life, that means more than any crown. Then comes the shadow.
Prince Aerion Targaryen, born of dragon blood, raised on entitlement, convinced that cruelty is strength. To him, the world exists to kneel. He does not laugh easily. He does not tolerate mockery. And above all, he does not tolerate dragons being mocked, not even wooden ones. Tanselle performs her puppet show. A small wooden dragon dances on strings, clumsy, playful, harmless. The crowd smiles, children laugh. For a moment, Westeros feels lighter. Aerion does not smile. In a single breath, amusement becomes offense. Power becomes violence. The prince steps forward and strikes her, openly, brutally, without hesitation. No trial, no warning, no consequence. The crowd freezes. No one intervenes. Because everyone understands the same truth. A prince's anger is more dangerous than justice. Tanselle does not scream. She does not beg. She does not plead for mercy. Her silence hangs in the air, heavier than any cry. And Dunk sees it all. The world tells him to look away. The law tells him to stay silent. Fear tells him to survive. Because in Westeros, survival often means pretending you didn't see anything. But conscience speaks louder. One simple truth forms in his mind. Not complicated, not heroic, just undeniable. This is wrong. Dunk strikes the prince. A common man, hitting royalty. In Westeros, that is not bravery. That is treason. That is death. Dunk is arrested. The verdict is already decided. He struck a Targaryen. The punishment is clear: death. But Dunk does something unexpected. He demands a trial. Not a trial of words, not a trial of witnesses. A trial of 7. 7 champions against 7. Steel will decide the truth. Here is the quiet truth history remembers. Tanselle never speaks in court. She makes no speech. She asks for no justice. She demands no vengeance. And yet, every sword drawn that day is drawn because of her. 7 men are willing to die because one girl was beaten for daring to exist without bowing. This is how power truly works. Not through commands, but through what people are willing to stand for. The field becomes chaos. Steel crashes against steel. Blood stains the grass. Armor shatters. Knights fall. Men with titles, lands, and legacies. Some die screaming. Some die silently. Dunk stumbles, bleeds, nearly falls. But he stands. Not for glory, not for songs, not for history. He stands because walking away would mean becoming part of the cruelty. When the fighting ends, the ground is soaked in blood. Dunk lives. Egg walks forward into destiny. And Tanselle? She leaves. No celebration, no romance, no reward. Because some people do not stay to be remembered. Think about it. If Tanselle had never been struck, if Dunk had turned away, there would be no trial of 7, no legend, no Dunk the Tall. History would move forward unchanged, evil unchallenged, cruelty unpunished. She never held a sword, but she tested one. She never fought, but she created a knight. True knighthood isn't forged by blood. It's forged in the moment someone refuses to look away from injustice. This is the story of Tanselle, not the girl who fought, but the girl who made fighting necessary.